God blesses those who are poor. God blesses those who mourn. God blesses those who are hungry. God blesses those who are hungry. God blesses those who are worshipful. God blesses those whose hearts are pure.
Different church, welcome. I don't know where you're watching from, who you are, where you've been, any of that. I just want to say thank you for being a part, hanging out with us, all that. So we're in a new series called Seek First. And because it's a new series, obviously we have to get a new set. So thank you to everybody that served, that helped, that does everything, whether it's in person, online, edits, does worship, all of that. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. For serving and for helping. And if you're new here, man, you just found us on TikTok or Instagram, whatever, like, hey, we love you. You need anything, hit us up. Like, we want to start a relationship with you and love on you. So we're in a series called Seek First, okay? And so I don't know how long you've been a Christian. If you're even a Christian, I have no idea, right? Maybe you're just kind of checking this out. Anytime somebody gets into Christianity or steps into church or is like, hey, man, I want to read the Bible, where do I start? I always tell them to start in Matthew 5. It's Jesus's first sermon. It's called it's the Sermon on the Mount, right? It's Jesus's first sermon, and we see he talks about things. Well, really, if Jesus started there, if his ministry started really there, I want my life to start there. I want to study that first before I study anything else. And you know what's crazy about the Sermon on the Mount? It kind of goes through like, blessed are those who are blank, blessed are those who are blank, blessed are those. And you know what it says? The Bible doesn't say blessed are those who have lots of money. It says blessed are those who are poor. It doesn't say blessed are those who have lots of followers. It says blessed are those who are humble. The Bible doesn't say blessed are those who voted for a certain political party. No, it says blessed are those who are peaceful. God doesn't look at the outside and determine who and how gets blessed. He's looking at what's on the inside. He's always looking at what's inside. So we do a really good job of fixing everything around. I voted for this person. I said this. I did this. No. God's not concerned about the outside. God's concerned about the inside. The inside. And that's what this is saying. Blessed are those who, hey, let's look on the inside. And you have to think, at the time, nobody had ever heard a message like that. This is the most radical message that's ever been preached. Because everyone had talked about, well, keep the Sabbath day, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And Jesus is like, hey, blessed are those that, not that do all of these different things, blessed are those who have their heart right, have their spirit right, that are working on the inside. And at the time, everybody had focused on what the outside looked like. And Jesus said, no, we're flipping this thing. What does the inside look like? So if you have a Bible, you turn to Matthew 5, verse 11. Because really the first message amongst the entire thing, and I think that's so cool, man. Jesus, whenever he first got started, like, this is his first message, right? He didn't talk about money. In his very first passage that he preached, he didn't talk about money. He didn't talk about going to church. He didn't talk about certain worship songs. He didn't talk about any of that. The very first thing Jesus talks about is persecution. The very first thing, the first thing he wants to expound on is persecution. And I think that trips me out, but I think that it says a lot about what Jesus is. He knows us. He knows us better than anyone else. Why would he talk about persecution and not dating? Why would he talk about persecution and not lust? I think he knows something deeper. So if you have a Bible, turn to Matthew 5, verse 11 and 12. Look at this. God blesses you when people mock you and persecute you and lie to you, lie about you and say all sorts of evil things against you. Why? Because you are my believers. Last verse. Be happy about it. Be very glad, for a great reward awaits you in heaven. And remember, the ancient prophets were persecuted in the same way. Look at verse 11. Remember, this is the first thing Jesus decides to preach about. This is the first topic he wants to preach about. And he said, God, look at what he says, God blesses you when people mock you. When people laugh about you when you share your faith, God blesses you for that. Like there's something, I need to make my faith laughable. I need to start doing things that make people start to laugh at me. I've got to ask myself, when was the last time I did something crazy enough? I did something radical enough to make somebody laugh at me? When was the last time? And for me, I can tell you, probably not many people laugh. They're always like, hey, good message, Tyler. Good preaching, Tyler. No. When are they going to laugh at me about what I say? When are they going to laugh at me about what I believe or what I post or what I do? But obviously, it's not like God's just waiting to bless you, because that's what it says. God blesses you when someone mocks you. God's not waiting on somebody to laugh to pour blessing down. He's not like, it's not like, oh, someone laughed. Okay, you're good. No. It's not necessarily, the blessing doesn't come from the mocking. The blessing comes because your faith puts you in a position that was so close to Jesus that it pulled you so far from everyone else. That's when the blessing comes. Not just because someone doesn't like you, laughs at you, lies on you. It's because your faith has pulled you so far from people that close to God. That's where the blessing is. My daughters every single morning get to decide when we walk into school, do they hold my hand in front of their friends? Will they walk into school with their dad, or will they leave their dad? Will they ditch their dad and go hang out with their friends? They get to choose. But here's the crazy part. Listen, their friends don't provide for them. Their friends don't pay the bills for them. And they get the choice. I'm not going to force them to hold my hand into school in front of their friends. They get the choice. Am I going to walk with my dad into this school regardless of what anyone says about me? Are they going to value what I think about them more than what they think about them? And in the same way, will I value what God says about me more than what anyone else says? I'm going to walk into my workplace and I'm going to pray before we eat lunch. I'm going to walk into my workplace. I'm going to walk into my family reunion. I'm going to walk into every relationship regardless of what anyone says, because what my God thinks about me is so much more valuable than what they think about me. But God's not going to force it. He's not. And he guarantees it. When you start walking close with God, that's when people laugh. That's when people think you're crazy. And I want to be great. Listen, I want to be looked at as like, there's no way. There's no way. Because when God gets me where I'm going, when I know it, when God gets me to what He's created me to do, I know nobody's laughing. Nobody's going to be laughing. But there's this time when I'm seeking Him and I'm chasing after Him, and people will laugh. They will. And so as we keep going, look at this.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Aaliyah. Welcome to Different Churches YouTube campus. While you're here, go ahead and subscribe and put on the post notifications, and go ahead and follow our other socials on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you're feeling generous, go to dfrnt.church and press the generosity button. And I hope wherever you are that God speaks to you and you come back next week.
Verse 11, it says, God blesses you when people mock you and persecute you and lie about you and say all types of things about you. Listen, it's guaranteed when you share your faith, when you live as a believer, it's guaranteed people are going to come after you. They're going to laugh at you. They're going to lie about you. They're going to try to prevent what you're doing in their lives. They're going to try to prevent you from doing what God's called you to do. You know why I think this is His first message? You know why I think this is the first thing? Because He knows our need to be accepted by people. More than anything else, more than He talked about giving, more than He talked about church, more than He talked about any of that, He knew our desire to be liked more than anyone else. And He knew that would be a struggle in our faith. And that's a struggle in my faith. And I'd probably ask you, is that a struggle in your faith? I love God, but I want other people to like me too. I want everyone to like me. If I listened to every TikTok comment I got, I would never preach again. They hate me. They talk bad about me. They say I shouldn't be preaching. And if I listened to them more than I'd listen to God, I wouldn't be preaching. I wouldn't be doing what God's called me to do right now. But no other comment matters than the comment God made to me when He called me and He chose me. So when I listen to everyone else before I listen to God, I've messed up. I have got the only comment that matters is what God commented about me. And that's the same for you. What somebody says about you what somebody says about me will not change what I say about God. It will not. You hate me, I'm still gonna love God. You follow me, or you stab my back, I'm still gonna follow God. You break my heart, you say something about me, I'm still gonna trust God. I am. That doesn't change. What you say about me, what the comment section says about me, what family says about me is not going to stop me from saying things about my God and what He did. You didn't call me, He did. But I think Jesus knew there was going to be the biggest hurdle in our Christian walk was not going to be, oh, Starbucks isn't open in my city, or the church has a night service. The church, oh, I don't like that worship song. No. The biggest issue I think He saw in our faith, the biggest hurdle is our need and our addiction for other people's approval. That's what's going to keep us from sharing our faith is other people's approval. And that's what He says right here. Hey, God's going to bless you. And that's what He says, verse 11, God blesses you when people mock you and persecute you and lie about you and say all types of things against you because you are my followers. Verse 12, I love this part. So what does He say? Be happy about it. Be glad in it. He says it twice. Be happy. My happiness is not attached to the amount of money I have in the bank. My happiness is not attached to whether you like me or not. My happiness is not attached to how many followers I have. My happiness is attached to God and what He's done in my life. So you can remove everything. What God's done in my life, that's what makes me happy. That's what brings me joy. Not what you think about me. Not what someone says about me. Not what a mean comment says about me. What God says about me. That's what matters. And He says, be happy. He says, hey, find joy in persecution. When you get made fun of, find joy in it. Find joy. And we have to find it in here. Look. If I take this sticky note that says joy, and I attach this to a relationship, and they leave me, and they walk out of my life, where do you think my joy goes? With them. So if I take, look at that. So if I take this sticky note that says joy and I attach it to a job that I really want and I don't get the job or I lose my job, where does the joy go? With the job. If I attach this joy right here and it's attached to an amount of money and I don't make that amount of money, where do you think that joy goes? Well, it goes out the door. That's what He says. Attach your joy to God. He's never changing. He never moves. All of these things change. All of these things move. And He's saying, hey, don't attach your joy. You're going to be persecuted. Don't put your joy and attach it to something that's going to move, that's going to change. Don't do it. And that's what He's saying right here. Be happy in persecution. And He says, for a great award awaits you in heaven. Be happy about it. Be very glad, for a great reward awaits you in heaven. And this is this thing at the very end. And remember, the ancient prophets were persecuted in the same way. You know how you can say, and remember another way? Don't forget. Don't forget that there were other people that have been persecuted for you. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. When we find ourselves alone, that's when we get hurt. When we get alone, when the enemy gets us alone, we get hurt. And so in the midst of, and that's what persecution does. When someone laughs at you, when someone makes fun of you, it makes you feel like I'm the only person that exists. No, Jesus is saying, hey, don't forget. Don't forget, other people have been persecuted. Other people have been hurt. Other people, you're not alone. You're not alone. Every voice is so loud when you're alone. That's why you have got to open up the Word and begin to read and hear His voice. That's why you start worshiping so you can hear His voice. That's why you pray. That's why you surround yourselves with some real ones. So that when you feel alone, when you feel like the enemy's attacking you, when you think people don't like you, whatever it is, you're not alone. You're hearing more than the negative voices. You're hearing the voices that God's put in your life. But every voice is loud when you're alone. Don't get alone. Don't get alone. Don't get alone. Trust me. Get around some people. Get around some things that are going to help you in those seasons. And I'll share this and then we're done. I didn't know like persecution was a real thing. I had no idea. And I was like 19 years old. I had just gotten into church. I was working at a church, and some of my old friends from, before I started getting to church, before I was a Christian, all of that stuff, they didn't really like that I got into church. And so when I did, they didn't really like it, but they didn't say much about it. And I remember one time, and Twitter was brand new at this time. This is probably 2013, right? I get on Twitter one time and I see that somebody tweets out, Tyler, they tag me like at Tyler Sterban, you're the most fake Christian I've ever seen in my life. And it had like 12 likes or favorite. At the time, I think it was favorites. And it had like 12 favorites. Now I remember looking at that, and I was a new Christian, I was a new believer, and I just didn't understand why somebody would say that. I didn't get it. I didn't understand. But then the more I looked at it and the more I read it, the more I kind of agreed with them. Like, yeah, I do fail. I do mess up. I do break God's heart. I don't do everything perfect. And so I remember I liked the comment. And I put my phone down. And if I would have stayed there, I probably would have been angry, resentful, mad, sad, whatever. That's whenever I went to some of my friends that understood the new season of my life. They knew where I was wanting to go. They say, hey man, don't worry about it. Hey, we get that all the time. Like, don't worry about it, dude. But if I wouldn't have listened to their voice, I would have struggled quite a bit. And so wherever you are, whoever you are, I do want to ask you, if you're alone right now, if you're a Christian but you're alone, you're in a dangerous place. You're in a very, 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 very dangerous place. And if you ever need somebody, obviously you can message us, you can reach out to us, whatever, but don't be alone. What God's called you to is too great. What God's destined you for is too great. Just don't get caught alone. In the midst of persecution, in the midst of being made fun of, in the midst of all that, find somebody, find some people, run to the Word, run to prayer, whatever it is, find them. And He'll get you through it every single time. So that's my prayer. That's what I want to pray for you. That in the midst of persecution, in the midst of all that, that you really would cherish and find the reward that God's got for you. Lord, we love you. We honor you. We praise you. We're so grateful for everything that you do. Use us. And whoever's listening, whoever's watching, whoever's tuning in, all of that, God, I pray that you would encourage them. They feel alone right now, God. I pray that you would encourage them, that they wouldn't look for other people's approval, but they would look for your approval. And when they find that, it won't matter what anyone says about them, what anyone does to them, says about them, any of that, but that they would be able to trust and lean on you. So God, we love you. We praise you. We honor you. It's your name we pray. And everybody said, amen. Hey, what's up? My name's Tyler, and you are a part of our Different Church YouTube campus. And I just want to say thank you. I'm the pastor here. And here's a few things that you can do to stay a part. 1, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Be alerted anytime something drops or releases. We want you to be a part. We want you to be encouraged and inspired and figure out what your different is. But maybe you want to tell your auntie, your uncle, your cousin, whoever, maybe you want to send that, just share it. Because what I've learned in ministry, people will open a link to a church long before they ever open the door to a church. And maybe you're on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. Follow us, Different Church Nashville. Be a part. See what we're doing every single day. And maybe, last but not least, you're an OG. You're a real one. You really want to get plugged in. All you got to do is go to different.church. That's DFRNT.church to find out more about us, the church, how to give, how to be a part, all of that. But I love you, and I will see you next video.